awarded large R1 lots and a reduction of the number of multi-units being constructed in our town. Residents in Three Springs and our town should expect their voices to be heard by this commission.
Dennis DeVito.
Dennis DeVito, 10341 Silver Maple Drive in St. John. Wow, deja vu. 2 years ago, this developer and this commission addressed these same issues. The developer trying to salvage a seriously encumbered parcel, while the commission addressed lot size and housing unit density. Then, the commission supported the folks in the community, resulting in a fair mix of single and multiple family units. After the ruling, the developer seeking a more advantageous outcome returned with alternative proposals. The commission sought to work with the developer, offering options while still being mindful of its obligations to the town. Recently approved was a convoluted compromise, one offering single-family dwellings on larger lots, but also allowed some lots to contain an easement for multiple large, high-pressure pipelines. It was clear the majority voted in favor because they felt the proposal was in the guidelines of the subdivision ordinance. It is equally clear that the members who voted against the developer felt that the safety issues of the pipeline trumped the majority issue. Not questioning the integrity of the positions or the votes, the commission made it clear that while they heard the safety concerns, for the majority, the safety concerns were not showstoppers. Now, a month later, the developer comes back to the commission, again seeking advantageous rulings and concessions. The developer comes full circle and is now addressing a proposal painfully close to the original one shot down years ago. Many of the residents in the community fought and thought they had won in limiting duplex housing, but this battle, like a phoenix, continues to rise. At some point, the commission must consider consistency in its rulings. If it rules that the safety of this parcel is not raised to the point of a no vote, then the commission believes safety is not an issue. If safety is not an issue, it would seem the only reason for change now is to readdress developer preference for duplex housing, something the commission also had rejected in an earlier vote. I do not envy the commission's dilemma, whether to backpedal on the safety issue or backpedal on the duplex issue. It seems there are two obvious alternatives. First, reject the current option demanded by the developer outright, leaving the commission's vote from last meeting stand. Or two, move the road north but leave the lots on the south side the same. I encourage and request the commission remain consistent in its rulings, to listen and approve and understand the wishes and desires of local residents, and to not approve the plot in front of you today. The commission should understand developer issues and, where practical, work jointly to build better projects. I also understand and fully believe it is not the commission's responsibility to make concessions exclusively to enhance a project to make it financially viable. We have heard much about this property. It's reduced costs by the series of covenances, the give and take of important safety concerns versus subdivision ordinances, all amplified by frequent developer proposals for change. Every vote results in a certain optics visible to the community. I encourage you to not further cloud Three Springs Phase 3 and reject this proposal tonight. Thank you.
That was all that signed up. Was there anyone else that wanted to make comment? Yes.
Barada, 9535 Joliet Street. I agree with every word of what they said, except there are a few things I'd like to bring to light too. And this refers not only to Three Springs, but what is the current road impact fee? Has it been voted in?
That is not a function of the plan commission.
Okay, so there isn't one now. Is there a road impact fee put in place?
Do you have something to say about the subdivision?
I do.
Please say.
I'm looking for somebody to give me an answer.
That is not about the subdivision.
Okay, well, it's about every subdivision. Here's my point. You've got new building going on everywhere. And my problem with the road impact fee is the last time
You have something to say about this subdivision.
is this subdivision being built in St. John.
Are you in favor of the subdivision, or are you
It
opposed
doesn't
to
make any
it?
difference. It doesn't make any difference, Mr. Ford.
That's what you're here for.
Okay, this is my point. Anything being built here should have a road, an impact. Go ahead, giggle, Mike. We know what that means. You're nervous. Yeah, you're nervous. You always do. But anyway, my point is simply this, and this was supposed to be a very short statement. The means value of a house is probably around $100,000 now. We need a higher road impact fee done. Now, with these people, poor people in Three Springs, everybody that's here is here for a reason. And the reason is you people are failing at what you're supposed to be doing. And what you're failing at what you're supposed to be doing is you're not paying attention to us. Period. You don't pay attention to us. This is purely a bait and switch in favor, and this happens in favor of just about everything that's built here. Now, can you say that pertains to Three Springs? Because my point is,
No, sir, because this is not a bait and switch. So it
it's
does not.
exactly.
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
I disagree with everything you said.
You always do, Mike.
Because it's so easy to disagree with you, sir.
It's easy for you. It's easy for you. But Brian made the same point. Brian made the same point. It's a bait and switch. Let's call it what it is. Because that's exactly what it is. I'm done.
Is there anybody else that want to make public comments?
Here we go, this is 10201 99th Avenue. And once again, we're here for the rezoning of Phase 3 in Three Springs. I think we're happy with the change to the green space in reference to the pipeline, but I have to object to rezoning to R3 lots. We seem to have constantly fight for staying with R1 lots, and that is what makes St. John so special. There's something to be said for continuity in a subdivision, and would hate to see this Phase 3 turn into a crowded addition due to the number of duplexes and cottage homes squeezed into these small spaces, as well as the safety issues. So please, do not approve this zoning.
Any other public comment?
Jerry Swets, 9490 Joliet Street. I would really just like to echo in a brief statement the things that I've heard here tonight. We really don't want more R3 in this subdivision. There's enough R3 there already. Our balance of R1s and R3s is way out of line. I think there's already more R3s that were approved in this than what should have been. When they talked about doing R3s by the railroad tracks, that would have been acceptable, but yet they still wrap around. I would encourage you guys to really do what the residents are looking for, the people that have invested in this neighborhood, and that is to not approve this rezoning to R3. The safety issue is the safety issue, and I'm sure Mr. Barrett will come up with another alternative, because when this plan was voted down last time, he came up with another alternative, and he'll come up with another one as well. I would encourage you to vote this down. Thank you.
Yolanda Cardona at 10075 Spring Lake Road. Well, first of all, there has been so many iterations of this same plan, so we're all tired of being here. My husband and I have only been in that property for a year, and we've been here already 3 times with different iterations of the same plan that does not take into account our interests. And those are the interests that should matter to all of you, the residents of St. John. So I am pleased to see the change from the homes on the pipeline to now having homes that are not on the pipeline. So that's a good thing. So obviously, I'm happy about that, but the thing about that is that you guys failed us. Whoever voted for that proposal failed us. And we have to thank the developer that he had the foresight to change the plan. I don't know for what reason, but I'm happy that he changed the plan and that we are no longer dealing with the safety issue, because that was my main concern. So we are no longer dealing with the safety issue, so happy about that, pleased about that. But what are we dealing with now? The problem now is that much better alternative, but it still doesn't take into account one of the factors that must be considered when all of you are making your decision. Does this new plan conserve property values? The answer to that is no, it doesn't. And that is one of the things that you guys have to take into consideration when making your decision. Does it keep and preserve the property values of the people that have invested in buying homes in that subdivision? And the answer to that is no, it doesn't. So duplexes well, not only does it not preserve the property values, but also I can tell you from personal experience that I bought the home about a year ago, and I specifically asked, buying a home that's the very last home in the street, I asked what will be built next to this home, and I was specifically told it would be R1 home, similar to the home where we live at. And not only did I ask, but I also went out of my way to check with the town, and I relied on the town's records. I had no reason to doubt the accuracy of the town's records. So I and my husband detrimentally relied on that promise that it would be R1s. And here we are today with adding R3s. I mean, it's not enough that we already have R3s at the very end. He wants to add more. What's the hardship here? Why can't we just keep them R1s? Or another alternative could be to put minimum values to these homes. So protect our interests, protect the interest of the homeowners that have purchased properties, our families. For most of us, this is the biggest, and I can tell you from personal experience, this is our only investment. And this proposal would basically jeopardize the investment that my family made. So I ask that all of you take that into consideration and make the right decision. We need some finality to this. We cannot be here every month talking about the same thing. R3s, R2s, we need some finality to this so we can enjoy the properties that we purchased. So enact some minimum values to these homes, or keep them R1s. There is no hardship. The only people that would have a hardship would be everybody sitting in that corner, the people that have purchased the properties there at St. John 3 Springs. So please do not approve this proposal of rezoning. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that want to speak? Final call. All right, I'm going to bring it back to the board. Gentlemen, any questions?
I got a couple. I did some research with this project because I knew it was going to be contentious. I talked to some people and looked into some things. The first question I have is, a couple people stated tonight that they were promised that this was going to be R1 development. Is that true? Do we know that?
It's 100% false.
Okay. The second question I have is the comprehensive plan shows it being R1 as well, correct?
The comprehensive plan shows it being residential. The comprehensive plan that before us does not zone property, it doesn't talk about it in zoning, it talks about it in residential, commercial, or industrial. So it shows it as residential, if that's correct. To answer your first question, back in February of 2002, this project first came before the Plan Commission for a public hearing to rezone the property. It was stated in the minutes of those meetings that this was to be a three-phase project, that all phases in the entirety would have single-family and duplex lots in them. It was anticipated, because of the acreage involved, that there would be anywhere from 200 to 300 lots involved. And if this project goes through with, I believe it's 34 lots in phase 3, it will be 193 lots. So 17 years ago, it was stated in a Plan Commission meeting that it would be a combination of single family and duplex throughout the entire development, up to as many as 300 lots, and it turns out to be a little less than 200.
Another, thank you for answering that, because a lot of, I mean, again, this all came before I started here, so I'm.
I started here.
Right, so I'm trying to get my footing here on what's going on. So from what else I understand, this was rejected by the town council a couple of years back, is that true?
The R3 zoning was initially rejected by both this body, went to the council with an unfavorable recommendation, I think 5-2. I don't recall the exact vote. And then the council did deny the R3 zoning. This unit, yes.
And why are we at this again?
This is the,
To get the houses off of the pipeline.
That's really why we're here. We're gonna build smaller houses with easements in the backyards, or larger duplexes without the easements.
And I appreciate that what Mrs. Biskin and Cardona said. I'm thrilled that those lots got taken off of the easement there. I'm happy about that, but I think the residents spoke up tonight. That's all I have.
Any other comments?
Yeah, first, and I'm trying to remember because it's gone back at least 3 years, if not more, for this. And the first time was the one that was rejected actually had more R3 in it than whatever you do now.
I believe it did, it actually had cottage homes too.
It had cottage homes.
So it was not the same plan.
And that's the reason it was rejected, because there
We
was
had
actually
60
more
foot, 70
of
foot
that
lots.
in there than what there is now.
Yeah, it was a different plan. The street pattern is similar, but we had more lots, smaller lots. It's not the same plan, honestly.
Because I know it's more denser than
It
what
was.
it is.
Every time you return, the density drops.
This is true. And it did again tonight.
Right.
This gets approved, 5-1.
Jim, anything?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm happy that they changed it.
And let me address the minimum value. Dave, do you have a minimum value on a half a duplex? What are those selling for, you believe?
250, 275.
For half of a unit. So you're talking 100-foot lots with a home value totaling over $500,000. To me, it's not
The
more than most single-family houses on the same size lot.
effect on value argument goes out the window right there. Because you're talking $500,000
Per lot.
per lot.
Versus a single-family home that may be in the 300 to 400 range, maybe a little more.
Yes.
I have a few comments. First of all, I'd like to visit the conversation between Mr. Flores and Mr. Eberly. Up until about 13 months ago, if any of these residents buying a lot in Phase 2 would have walked into Town Hall and asked for a zoning map. In fact, the zoning map is inlaid into the comprehensive plan. It just shows the current zoning at that time. This entire phase is R1, so if you're plunking your money down, as many of these residents stated, you're doing it thinking that that's going to be single-family homes. And that's why they're here tonight, because they're seeing, again, a degradation in the zoning from R1 to something else, from single-family to duplex, and that's their main objection. They've made it very clear to me that that is their objection. They invested their money when this was R1. It got changed from R1. Already we have 6 duplexes now. We're coming back for 6 more, and they oppose that. So they wouldn't have gone back to 2002 Plan Commission meetings, but they would have certainly found the zoning map. It's very evident. You can go right to the website and see it right now, what the zoning of this property was until last spring when the town council rezoned it. The second thing regarding property value, as far as assessed value for the town, it may go up, but residents at 275 is not the same as these folks got 400K and better into these houses around the lake. So they're talking about who is going to be buying their house and what the income level of those people are that are going to be buying these houses. That's what they're looking at, conserving property values. So we're looking at conserving property values per residence, per investor. So a duplex at 275 does not compare to a single family home, and they prefer it to be a single family home. It's what they expected when they plunked their money down, and they have a right to ask that. we are tasked with conserving property values. It's one of the 5 factors that the Plan Commission is supposed to